any room to breathe. He's right where he needs to be. He's sucking it in. These are two very differently powered cars, too. Mind that. And so Levi has to be very technical with how he follows and ensure that he's using the right amount of acceleration and braking and different techniques like that. So as we do this, the judges are wanting to look at the replay. Looks like that first engagement point, Levi had to be really low to do what he needed to do, which I know might be a problem because the judges were looking for him to be in that clipping zone as well. They were more looking to ensure that you knew the run, less looking for the proximity, which is not typically Levi's style. He usually likes to be right on your door. So they're going to be sitting here deliberating, and the cars are going to get lined up and ready for their next round while the judges deliberate. They are looking over the replay right now, and I can hear him talking about the situations and how their entries went. It looks like we're going to hold them on the Sen because we want to verify some information real quick. The judges are really kind of nitpicking the situation because it looks like there might have been a little bit different situations between the two drivers. What I'm personally feeling here is this lead run. He had a weird engagement. Levi had already engaged in the back, and in the lead, he waited a little bit to engage, and that's probably impartial due to the lack of power for the lead comparatively. Levi, he's able to kind of just huck it right in to get him into that corner, whereas with a slightly underpowered car, he has to bring it up and then engage so that he can keep the proximity for longer. Levi's right where he needs to be on that outer zone. He engaged. He got the entire zone. His tires are in it. Front zone, just perfect. Nice transition here. And again, front zone, perfect. Takes him right where he needs to be for this outer zone. Already engaged. He's in it the entire time. Comes up to this last front zone and done. Textbook lead. Fantastically done. Looks like the judges are going to have some deliberating to do because, you know, in the front area here, when Levi was leading, he did great for this first zone. He comes in, he's right where he needs to be, but there was a little bit of a clip on the cone, which means he was a little bit too far in. And he comes right, he's right where he needs to be on the transition. He's right in the zone on the outer for the final outer. He comes right out as he needs to in the corner there. And that final inner, he's right where he needs to be, and he's got angle the entire time. Judges are still deliberating while we line up our next drivers. You can see them warming up just on the bank there. It looks like on this one we're going to be having James Ford, who moved forward from the first round with a win, and he will be facing up against Trapper John. This is again going to be another Corvette on Corvette Drift. I do know that Trapper John is running a little bit of compression on there, so he's got some boost. He was saying he was having a little bit of cutout issues at the higher end, maybe something due to the temperatures of the air from the boost or something like that. So that might affect his performance today, but we'll see what happens. It does sound like Levi Waite will be moving forward with a win, and Dino Child will have one more opportunity to continue on later on in the evening. And we're going to send these two right now. Trapper John taking the lead on this one. Good engagement, early engagement from Trapper. Dino... Oh, a little bit of contact, but Trapper maintains. Oh, man, James is right on Trapper's door. And Trapper's able to carry it through. Pulls up the top, a little bit of smoke and a big flame coming from James there. I don't know what happened. He did hit that clip, but he made it across the line. Hopefully that's not anything too serious and it's just simply a tire. Early engagement from Trapper. Dino. Oh, so they're going to swing back around here, and we're going to have James take the lead on this next run and see what they can do. Again, I really hope that flame I saw wasn't anything too serious on James' car. I know they've been under it all day working on it. So that would be very disheartening to see with him doing so well as he's already got one win under his belt for the day. It's really feeling like, to me, and I don't know about the judges, but I'm feeling like Trapper's going into this with a really nice advantage because his run was just so textbook on the lead, and James did have a couple of issues with those clipping points and the follow. James comes in shallow. Trapper giving a little bit of distance, but he's got his angle where he needs to be. He hits the clipping point like he needs to, and on the transition, he kind of carries it a little bit longer. Oh, big hit on the wall. Oh, man. So that's going to end up doing it for James, unfortunately. Trapper already going into the run with a advantage, and he was not able to follow a clean run, unfortunately, from James. Hopefully, James's car is not too bent out of shape from that contact to the wall over here. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, we're definitely getting someone out there to make sure everybody's okay. This is one of those sports. Thank you to our flaggers who are making sure that the track is shut down. Loving the red flag there. Loving the red flag. And we get our emergency truck out there to take a quick look here, make sure everything's good. That was our last run for now, right? That's what he committed to. Hey, that was our last one for this bout, right?
I'm only laughing because he literally unicorn committed to that.
No, one more. We got one more, don't we?
And you know how sketchy that is.
I mean, you can see here we got a drone shot here. The gorilla wrap looking so nice. Pulled it right up. Here it comes, slowing it down. Point of contact, boom, right there on the berm. Oh man, and then the front too because he's trying to correct, and then his whole side's gone at this point. Getting the tow truck out there, it does look like the car is no longer operable, unfortunately. Shout out to all of our track crew today. They're making it safe and fun. So it does look like James is going to have to try and fix his car if he wants to try and recoup his extra opportunity on this double elimination bracket. That said, Trapper will be taking the W on this one. Not only did he put down a fantastic lead run, but he also followed for as long as he could before James smacked that wall. Looks like James is out of his car. He looks to be okay, which is fantastic to hear. He's checking out the damage right now. I know he and his crew are going to have a fun time trying to fix that if they can. So you can see here the judges are just talking about exactly what happened, and they're making their predictions. And at the end of the day, I mean, Mike was basically saying right in here on the inner part where the figure 8 is on that clip where they have to make the transition in between the two inners. It looks like James had a weird transition off that first inner, and so he tried to overcorrected, and ended up taking just this unhinged line that put him right up in the wall. Mike's even saying, one of our judges here, he's saying that if he had given it a little bit more commitment, he could have sucked it in, used the wall and the gravity and the physics of it all, and actually been able to pull it all off.
He was committed. He was committed. He just needed to get back on throttle and commit to that. I think he just looked at the wall, and it's what happens. You get points fixated, and it brought him right into the wall. But that line was a pretty ballsy move to commit to that, so he almost made it work, but it didn't work out anyway.
Unfortunately, almost does not count in this sport. It is not horseshoes. But that said, I mean, at the end of the day, he was trying for it. He was going for it. And as someone who's done a bunch of mountain biking myself and different types of racing and spent some time in the sim, that commitment is not only important, but you're right. You get that tunnel vision. If you get focus on a fixed object, you're always going to end up hitting it in this sport. You always kind of have to look forward and look ahead of what you're doing, especially on a sport like this, where you're transitioning and you're doing so many things and there's so many moving parts, because you don't have traction, you have finesse, and it's very different by comparison there. Shout out to our on-track crew with the cameras, getting the best angle that we can get today of the car as it gets loaded up on the tractor. I really hope that he's able to get something going and get that fixed so that he can get back out there for his second time. And that actually will be the last race for this heat, and we're going to be jumping back into the pro stock. So, for those of you tuning into the live stream, please enjoy some pro stock followed by some pro trucks, and then we'll be jumping right back into some more drift after that. So sad to see the Dark Arts car get loaded up like that. He was having such an amazing run, and it's just disheartening.
I got hope they can get it fixed. The After Hours team, they got their stuff together, so
They do, in fact. Oh yeah, the After Hours team. I mean, they're a lifesaver. They have done so much work on my personal car as well. My 280ZX. They did the cage on it. They're about to put the motor in for me. Those guys know ifs, ands, or buts. They got the tools they need. They're also the primary reason we're able to have this licensing series. After Hours Autosports being the primary sponsor and understanding, so that they put in a lot of effort. I mean, these guys not only run a pro spec series where they go and run around, they also have now at this point three individual drivers across different brackets racing for them under sponsorship, while also running an entire race shop and ensuring that this is the most professional opportunity that we can get for these guys to truly get a qualification, so that when they go in with their new license, whoever ends up winning the series, they're qualified and ready to compete with the pros. So shout out to After Hours Autosport for just making everything that they can work. These guys are dedicated. I mean, they have their hands in so many different parts of the sport. They're really here helping to shape it and to grow it so that we can continue to bring you more stoke and more enjoyment every day.
Nia Rogers, niggas crash out by these bitches. I ain't met a bitch I put before my riches. Clicky with the switch, we call them glitches.
The Pro Truck and Pro Stock Series races. It's been so fantastic to watch. I'm learning quite a bit about NASCAR, stuff I didn't even know yet, which is awesome. And, yeah, it's just been a great day. We've been digging down on the bracket. We've been seeing some crazy racing, drifting happening. And speaking of crazy, actually, that last run before we went to break to our NASCAR series, I want to talk about that a little bit. It was our race against Trapper John and James Ford. And it was actually on the switch-up when James Ford was taking the lead. He was doing a pretty fantastic job. He had this weird switch-up here, and I was talking about it with one of our judges, Mike, earlier, and it kind of forced him to commit to a fairly ballsy line. And what ended up happening here is he saw the wall, got sucked into it, and just, that's what ended up happening is he focused on it too hard, and the wall became where he was. And, I mean, it's just such a situation. They're actually in the pit right now trying to see what they can do and unravel that car before his next heat, because like I said earlier, it is a double elimination. So even though he wrecked, he still has a chance to come back. And so they're out there banging at it. I do know that the judges told me that he had a bent control arm, which, that's situational. If he has extras, great. If not, he might have to sit there and get a little thrifty with how he unbends it just so he can get that next run in. Because getting a chance at a Pro-Am license doesn't come around all the time. So an opportunity for him to make sure he can still get that chance and at least get a good placing on this first round to give him a better shot on later rounds when he has time to really get under there and fix it. I mean, it was just such a crazy situation. He had a crazy line. He really sucked it in, and then the wall just came at him, basically. And, he hit on his rear first, which caused him to then, with the momentum, hit on the front, and then he just kind of ground into it. You can even see on the track over there's a couple of spots where it hit and where he ground, and you can kind of just see the damage that was caused by that, because it's really unfortunate to see, but it's drifting. That's what we do. We bring our car out here, we throw it down, we put it through as much as we can, just like any other kind of racing oriented sport. The difference is we're doing it without any kind of traction. So the way that they control is very much purely based on throttle response, braking, left foot braking, when to time your e-brake, and how to do that so that you can make your line look the same as it needs to, the same way like with a racing line. So if you're breaking it down, you're trying to hit these outer and inner clipping points. And he came in, he did great. He hit this first clipping point on the inner. He did his transition, and it was a weird tucked-in transition, which forced him really far out. And I just, had he been able to not get so focused on the immovable object that was in front of him, I truly believe, and I know Mike does as well, that he would have been able to pull that off, and it would have looked magnificent.
Fantastic.
So we're getting our cars lined up here. We've been running through multiple heats of Pro Stock and Pro Truck races in between each one of our heats for our bracket. Our next race is going to be it looks like it's going to be Ian and Levi. Excuse me for the slight delay there. So it's Ian McDougall in the Drift Colorado Drift School Corvette, and then it's going to be Levi Waite in the Drift Doctor BMW. And pretty similar builds, though. They're both LS powered, so they're running pretty close to the same horsepower as far as I know. I know Drift Doctor just recently transplanted his motor on that car and put a little bit of pizzazz or spice, as you may say, into the motor when building it. So it definitely has a different tone to it, and it seems to have quite a bit more throttle response as well. It is a naturally aspirated LS as far as I understand. Both of them are. So we're literally just seeing sheer driver capability out of two different body chassis styles. Both very capable in their own way and both very different as well. So it can really come down to driver response at this point. We're just waiting to hear from our start line as to what's going on. So we got a shot down there. Shout out to our camera guys. They're trying to get us as much information as we can get, and it looks like our track team who is putting in as much work as they can to make sure that the transitions in between races and the drivers and everybody know where they're going and how to go and what to do. It's no simple feat, let me tell you. So it does look like we are switching up the race. Okay, yeah, so it's not going to be Ian and Levi first. That makes more sense. So we're actually going to be James Dunn and Dino Child. And this is part of the losers bracket, right? So this will be race 1 of our losers bracket. Both drivers have lost at least one at this point, so the loser of this one will not be moving on whatsoever. And the winner of this one will have one more chance to compete, still living on thin wire because they have already lost one. This is where they really have to put it all on the line. So it does look like, waiting for them to get lined up here, James is going to go ahead and lead for us with Dino in the follow for the first run. Okay, James coming up to this first clipping, outer clipping point. He has not engaged. He's not into the point yet. Neither of them are in the point, actually. We had an early engagement from Dino. We got a halfway decent front clip from Dino, but it looks like James was kind of far away. Looks like we're racing into that second inner instead of actually drifting. So not sure what's going on there. Not quite into the outer clipping point at all on the lead. Dino's doing his best to just kind of follow the run as best he can while still getting as close to the clippings, even though the lead was very much not where they needed to be on their clipping points, making it very hard to follow. You can even see here on the first outer, I think he got his tires on maybe the last quarter of the clipping. We typically want to see them in that entire clipping, at least the bumper, and he didn't even have that, which caused him to be really, really off on his first inner as he made that transition from the bank into the figure 8 here. And as a result, he was pretty far away from that farthest white line, and that is not what we're looking for. This then caused a kind of domino effect. So as he transitioned, he had to he was really sucked in on the inside here where he needed to be actually out a little bit more and already in drift for that second inner. And so as a result, that is why we had such a rough time with that lead. So I do know that Dino is going to be taking the advantage on this as he gears up to lead for this next run. Dino with that early engagement, waiting for James. Here he is. Dino getting a portion of the outer. Oh, very close. Not sure where James is going. Dino's still keeping pretty close to his clipping points. He's not fully in it, but he's hitting them. And I think James is kind of just drifting with himself right now. No offense, James. If you watch this later, don't hate me. But I really feel like you're kind of fighting your car today. So that will be it for James in terms of qualifying runs. He is out of the bracket, eliminated. That is his second time losing, unfortunately. I'm sorry to say it, bud, but you did not cut it this time. That said, Dino's going to have another chance to keep moving forward on the losers bracket, and he is going to end up facing James Ford on that later race. If James can get his car together. If you weren't here or watching earlier, James had the most intense wreck on our outer zone 2. Yeah, outer zone 2 on this outer embankment here. He just he chose a line that was ballsy, and it did not pan out, unfortunately. So now we do have the Ian McDougall and Levi Waite drift that we thought was happening earlier because they were lined up wrong. They're pulling up to the zones here. Levi waiting for a second. They're switching up. It looks like Ian is actually going to lead Levi. We we had Ian accidentally pull up to the follow the first time. So he's pulling up to the proper side. And so the way it works is on one side you have the lead. They start on the outer zone, and the follow starts on the inner zone there. That's why they line up that way. That tells you who's going to be going in first, engaging first, and everything like that. So as you can see here, we've got Ian running the lead. He pops out, and he's going to be heading towards this first outer. And early engagement from Ian. Levi says, all right, I'll do the same thing. And both of them hitting that outer zone, coming up on this first inner, and they both hit it cleanly, smooth, textbook. Nice transition in the center of the figure eight to the second inner. Nice and textbook. Fantastic lead. Great follow. Levi's getting a little bit of a gap on him. He had to suck it in on the inside, so he's not quite on the outer as he would be. Ian taking that final inner just magnificently. It's like watching a ballet. That was so fantastic, Ian. Well done. I honestly, it's rare to see Levi have such a large gap as the race goes on, as they get further and further into the clipping points. Usually Levi's right on the door the entire time, but Ian was so dialed in that he chose such a crazy line. I mean, you can even see here, he goes through this, he gets such a clean front, and then he just gets right into the outer and just rides it. He's right on the wall, and then sucks it right back in for this inner, and it's just, boom, done. I mean, textbook driving. Levi's really going to have to do a lot to show us what this lead run can be to make up for the gap that's currently given, because Ian's textbook lead was so magnificent that the judges have decided to give him a little bit of a, what's the word I'm looking for? Sensational. Sensational. A little sensational. I think this is the first run all day where I've actually been speechless. Ladies and gentlemen, that was some of the most textbook driving I've seen all day. Levi had his points right where he needed to. Ian was right on his door. There was a little bit of a weird transition on the end of the figure eight after the first inner clip, but at the end of the day, I mean, the thing that's really going to define it is the nitpicking. Ian's a little low on this first outer, but he makes up for it and actually completely hits that inner the way he needs to. But it's a weird transition. He's way more in on this inner, and I think it causes him to not quite get as much into the embankment on the outer. So he kind of suffers a little bit there and ends up taking out the cone on that last inner. You know, I really would hate to be a judge right now. It's literally a nitpicky situation. They're sitting here going over the replays as we go over them, kind of showing like, hey, this driver did this here, this driver did this there, and so how do we weigh that? And so that's up to the team of them to figure out, okay, what do we do? How do we make this decision? And I don't think I could, because that was such a beautiful battle between the two of them, honestly. I think this is our last battle for this heat. So while our judges sit here and deliberate, I want to say how stoked I am to be here today. Not only do we get to experience a whole bunch of cool stuff, such as pro stock, truck stock, pro stock, and pro truck. Wow, you can clearly tell that NASCAR is something new to me. So we're going to be able to chat with A-Rod later in the evening as we get closer to our final bouts for this double elimination bracket. And we're going to be able to chat between the two. We're going to be able to break down the differences of NASCAR that some of us who are a little new to it may not understand, as well as what's going on with this drift stuff for those of you who might be new to the drift as well. Kind of just really getting into the nitty-gritty understanding there and just, understanding each other's sport. Because at the end of the day, we all love motors. We all love the smell of petrol in the morning. And who doesn't love a little bit of burnt tire too? So that said, we're going to be breaking into the next round of, I believe it's Pro Stock next, followed by Pro Truck, and then we're going to do our next bout after that. And actually, in fact, we're going to have opening ceremonies for the finals. That's going to be something you guys won't want to miss. We're going to be doing announcements, some prayer, and the national anthem. So definitely be there for that. You're not going to want to miss it. In the meantime, I want to hear what our judges have to say about that last run.
Yeah, he had to go grab us food. Both will be back here hopefully in time for the other battles. Yeah, so we have like a full setup, and we've been doing this for like 4 or 5 years now. Very nice. Yeah. So it's been fun.
I've only been doing this 1 year, so definitely got experience.
And then, I mean, Steve also does it for work as well, because he works like the big cameras at Coors Field. He does camera, and he not just camera work. He does everything. Like Steve is a genius. He does everything, but he mainly works the cameras at Coors Field. He does Ball Arena.
As they enter the first zone, it looks like Dimitri kind of came in a little short of that first outer, really ran out that inner, and it's going to really mess up the rest of his run here. He did sort of correct on that next inner and was able to get right on an outer. Dark Arts car having no issues. James got a. So the judges are over here still deliberating. That's why it's been quiet for a second. I was trying to figure out what was going on with them, and they're like, well, we kind of want to do it one more time. The problem with that right now is we're adhering to a very strict schedule, and our bracket is at the current moment needing us to continue to adhere to it. So they're continuing to deliberate because they aren't quite sure exactly what they want to do. If we can maybe call them back out, but that's also up to the track officials at the same time, since we're also bearing with the scheduling of the Pro Stock and the Pro Truck series that are happening in between each one of our bracketed races. So give us just a moment to deliberate on that, because it really is one of those things where the judges are having such a hard time because both drivers did things so amazingly, but at the same time, there were so many different nitpicky things that they're having a hard time deciding which one they want to move on. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have a deliberation, and it sounds like we do have the time to be able to run exactly what we were wanting to do. So the judges cannot make a decision on this. As a result of that, they do what's called a one more time battle. And so both of the drivers are going to line up, lead and follow, and run it back exactly like you just saw, and the judges will base their decision off of that one more time. So the drivers are going to be relocating. We're going to put the cones back out, and we're going to be getting them ready for that one more time so that we can make a decision moving forward so that we're ready for the afternoon sessions. You can see our track team out there getting ready to make everything ready so that we can get it. We've got our camera operators heading back out to our center field and getting everything geared back up for that one more time battle between Ian McDougall and Levi Waite.
Yeah, something like that. But I remember I turned it off because I like didn't want my OSD on the videos that I was filming from this. So.
And we're getting both of the cars ready to get back to the start line so that we can do this one more time battle. It looks like we've got just about every single one of our cones in place, and our track crew is almost ready for us. They were super quick. I just want to give our track crew a shout out because they were on top of it and made sure that we were taken care of. I don't know, maybe a little bit of contact there, but at the end of the day. All right, we got our cars heading to the start line now. We're gearing up. We've been enjoying some sweet replay action in the meantime while we wait for our drivers to get ready for this next round here. And by next round, I mean one more time, because the judges are indecisive and a bunch of divas. No, they're really not. I would have had a hard time, too. Those runs between Ian and Levi were so precise. You know, Ian had such an amazing lead run, in my opinion.
Levi won the first bank battle, and Ian won the second bank battle. So that's kind of a 50-50.
So you're saying, like, even on, like, the follow and the lead, Levi had this side of the track, and Ian had this side of the track. It wasn't even about one's lead over the other. It was quite literally a 50-50 split between one side of the track and the other, and who did better at those points. That's crazy to me to think. No wonder you guys are doing it one more time. They were the same mistakes between the two on both sides, which is why you made that clear-cut decision on, hey, he has this side of the track, he has this side of the track, because they just that's how consistent these drivers are, honestly, and that's what you want to see in the pros anyways. So we're going to have Ian do the lead run on this one just like he did for the first battle. Coming up to this first outer zone, and he's initiation early. They're both there. He's on the clip. He a little bit out. Levi was right on his door, right on the inner, through here. They're cutting in, transition. Oh, man, here we go. Nice inner, nice inner. Levi hitting the cone. That's okay. Oh, my gosh. Levi's much lower on the bank, but that's okay, bringing it through the end of the transition here on that last inner. That was beautiful. I mean, you can see it right here. They've already engaged. Levi's got this weird tendency to stay lower instead of being up in the point on these outers where the bank is, but as a result, he's not sacrificing distance, and so it makes it kind of hard to decide. I know the judges in the very first meeting, when we sat down with the drivers and the judges to kind of say, hey, this is what we're looking for, the judges really wanted to see both cars in the clipping point. And, you know, at this point, Levi's his tail's over the edge of the clipping point on the outer, has no issue with the inners. But when it comes to these outer zones, Levi's just not quite up the bank like Ian is, and I think that's going to end up hurting him a little bit. We'll see what happens on the next run here as they switch up. So, and here we have Levi doing the switch up with the lead. Ian way behind. Whoa, something's going on. Something's wrong. It seems like Ian may have had something going on with his car, or I don't know. He's way off the line right now. Oh, no. A very definitive answer as a result of the weird and late start from Ian. I don't know if it was a mechanical failure or if he was having some situations with his if it was a headspace thing. I really don't know. It's hard to understand, but I mean, you can see it here. Levi takes off. He's ready. He's gunning for it. And then right here, we start to lose Ian. He's losing power, it almost looks like. And he doesn't engage until about halfway into the bank, and he's very shallow. And it threw off his entire run. I'm wondering if he had some power cut issues or something like that. But as a result, Levi is going to be taking the win on this battle. So now that we've got that all cleared up, we're switching up our track again. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, both out in the stands as well as at home tuning in through the live stream. We appreciate y'all's patience while we get these things figured out. Very definitive. I know at the end of the day, running 3 different types of motorsports on the same track on the same day is no small feat. So for each one of our track officials, each one of our track representatives, and all of the individuals who are making this happen between transitions, flaggers, and everything like that, you guys are fantastic, and we appreciate every single minute that you've been out here putting your bodies on the line for us in the sun, in the elements. And, yeah, we wouldn't have this event without you guys and gals. Thank you so much. That said, we are finishing up this round of our Formula Drift Pro-Am qualifier. We're doing that double elimination bracket. Stay tuned. There will be plenty of drift for you later. We're going to be breaking right into our Pro Stock and Stock Truck races following momentarily. Not quite as much angle from him either. It looks like he's kind of struggling to get the angle he needs. Oh my gosh, he gets lost in the smoke, but James just putting down a textbook run. He's got the angle he needs. He's getting right into the zones as he needs to. So clean. It's a very clean cut. McDougal on this race. James Dunn in the lead car. Ian in the drift school, Colorado drift school car. Both Corvettes, both LS. Textbook runs. They're right where they need to be, taking out that cone a little bit. Ian makes a little correction there. It looks like a straighten from the lead car, but that's up to the judges. And that might have been because of the correction he had to make when he didn't hit that clipping quite right on the inside. And it does sound like James Ford is going to be moving on with his first win of the day. Again, this is a double elimination bracket, so that does not put Dimitri out of the winning just yet. And it looks like he's got right up on his door for that first clip. I don't know, maybe a little bit of contact there, but at the end of the day, Levi's not leaving any room to breathe. He's right where he needs to be. He's sucking it in. These are two very differently powered cars, too. Mind that. And so Levi has to be very technical with how he follows and ensure that he's using the right amount of acceleration and Levi's right where he needs to be on that outer zone. He engaged. He got the entire zone. His tires are in it. Front zone, just perfect. Nice transition here. And again, front zone, perfect. Takes him right where he needs to be for this outer zone. Already engaged. He's in it the entire time. Comes up to this last front zone and done. Textbook. Good engagement, early engagement from Trapper. Dino, oh, a little bit of contact, but Trapper maintains. Oh, man, James is right on Trapper's door. And Trapper's able to carry it through. Pulls up the top, a little bit of smoke and a big flame coming from with those clipping points and the follow. James comes in shallow. Trapper giving a little bit of distance, but he's got his angle where he needs to be. He hits the clipping point like he needs to. And on the transition, he kind of carries it a little bit longer. Oh, big hit on the wall. Oh, man. With those clipping points and the follow. James comes in shallow. Trapper giving a little bit of distance, but he's got his angle where he needs to be. He hits the clipping point like he needs to. And on the transition, he kind of carries it a little bit longer. Oh, big hit on the wall. Oh, man. With those clipping points and the follow. James comes in shallow. Trapper giving a little bit of distance, but he's got his angle where he needs to be. He hits the clipping point like he needs to. And on the transition, he kind of carries it a little bit longer. Oh, big hit on the wall. Oh, man. His first clipping, outer clipping point. He has not engaged. He's not into the point yet. Neither of them are in the point, actually. We had an early engagement from Dino. We got a halfway decent front clip from Dino, but it looks like James was kind of far away. Looks like we're racing into that second inner instead of actually drifting. So not sure what's going on there. Not quite into the outer clipping point at all on the lead. Dino with that early engagement, waiting for James. Here he is. Dino getting a portion of the outer. Oh, very close. Not sure where James is going. Dino's still keeping pretty close to his clipping points. He's not fully in it, but he's hitting them. And I think James is kind of just drifting with himself right now. No offense, James. If you watch this later, don't hate me. But outer. And early engagement from Ian. Levi says, all right, I'll do the same thing. And both of them hitting that outer zone. Coming up on this first inner, and they both hit it cleanly. Smooth, textbook. Nice transition in the center of the figure eight to the second inner. Nice and textbook. Fantastic lead. Great follow. Levi's getting a little bit of a gap on him. He had to suck it in on the inside, so he's not quite on the outer as he would be. Ian taking that final inner just magnificently. I think this is the first outer zone, and he's initiation early. They're both there. He's on the clip. He a little bit out. Levi was right on his door, right on the inner, through here. They're cutting in, transition. Oh, man, here we go. Nice inner, nice inner. Levi hitting the cone, that's okay. Oh, my gosh. Levi's much lower on the bank, but that's okay, bringing it through the end of the transition here on that. So, and here we have Levi doing the switch up with the lead. Ian way behind. Whoa, something's going on. Something's wrong. It seems like Ian may have had something going on with his car, or I don't know. He's way off the line right now. Oh, no. A very definitive answer as a result of the weird and late start from
Rentals and went over above and beyond helping us with equipment over the last few months. Without them, many of our cool new upgrades you see you would not have been possible without our folks over at Sunbelt. So a big shout out to all of the Sunbelt Rentals VIPs joining us in the Rock and Roll Brewery Beer Garden for some famous Dave barbecue.